What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of High Mythology, the show where we get higher than the giant eagle that pulled Sinbad out of that crystal crevice, and we tell you guys silly stories from mythology and folklore.
Yeah.
Today, we will be continuing on with our voyages of Sinbad. Well, Sinbad the Sailor.
We've got a long way to go, guys.
Yeah, not the voyages of Sinbad the comedian from the 90s.
Although I did watch Kazam recently.
Kazam!
And I forgot how, old school 90s hip hop was. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
These fools. They had some slick moves.
That was back in the old days of it, wasn't it? That's where it was like hey, we're doing a rap.
Yeah, it was one of those. The old school shit.
Yeah.
All right, so.
Yeah, go ahead and take her away. Voyage 4.
Sinbad starts his story. Thank you. Sinbad starts his story. Rich and happy as I was after my third voyage, I could not make up my mind to stay at home altogether. My love of trading and the pleasure I took in anything that was new and strange made me set my affairs in order and begin my journey through some of the Persian province.
Just out looking for some strange.
He's never done the three-pointer. This is new. They haven't done that shit yet. Missionaries, all they knew.
Yeah. I must seek out a new position.
Even a blowjob was unheard of.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was that far. The blowjob hadn't been invented yet.
Unless he drank his vodka juice. Having first set off stores of goods to await my coming in the different places I intended to visit, I took a ship to a distant seaport, and for some time all went well. But at last, of course, being caught in a violent hurricane, our vessel became a total wreck in spite of all of our worthy captain could do to save her.
Just bad luck to have on a boat.
For real.
Yeah.
Why are you even out at sea if all this shit happens to you?
He wanted some strange.
And many of our company perished in the waves. I, with a few others, had the good fortune of being washed ashore clinging to the piece of wreck, from the storm had driven us near an island, and scrambling up beyond the reach of the waves, we threw ourselves down quite exhausted to wait for morning.
And of course he survives.
Of course, he's got the good luck, man.
Yeah.
At daylight, we wandered inland, and soon saw some huts, to which we directed our steps. As we drew near, their black inhabitants...
Whoa! Oh, whoa. Oh, wrong one.
Wow.
Yeah. Whoa,
Sorry.
bro.
They swarmed out in great number and surrounded us. We were led to their houses, and, as it were, divided among our captors. I with 5 others were taken into a hut, where we were made to sit upon the ground, and certain herbs were given to us, which the blacks made signs to eat for us to eat.
You fuckers.
Observing that they themselves did not touch them, I was careful only to pretend to taste my portion, but my companions, being very hungry, rashly ate up all that was set before them,
and very soon brownies.
And very soon I had the horror of seeing them become perfectly mad.
Perfectly, that would be the best way to describe getting too high on brownies. How did you feel last night? Perfectly mad.
Though they chattered incessantly, I could not understand a word they said, nor did they heed when I spoke to them.
Man, I can't let go of the carpet or I'll fall into the ceiling.
The savages now produced large bowls full of rice prepared with coconut oil.
Whoa, hey, Sinbad, calm down over there.
Blame translation.
Yeah.
Of which my crazy comrades ate eagerly, but I only tasted a few grains, understanding clearly that the object of our captors was to fatten us speedily for our own eating, and it was exactly what happened. Disc. My unlucky companions, having lost their reason, felt neither anxiety nor fear, and ate greedily all that was offered to them. So they were soon fat, and that was the end of them. But I grew leaner day by day, for I ate but little, and even that did
just kept working that cardio.
Even that did me little to no good, by reason of my fear of what lay before me. However, as I was so far from being a tempting morsel, I also wandered about freely, and one day, when all the blacks had gone off...
Jesus! Sinbad!
We're almost done. We don't have to hear this racist shit anymore. Soon.
Oh, ancient translations. Nothing we could do.
I'm sure blacks is the nicer word for what they originally used.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have originally used.
I didn't look in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure whoever on this resource chose their words.
They tried to doctor it up as best.
Well, they
as
had
they
like commas in the weirdest places, and like when I did the spell check through, and like half the shit's even like spelled correctly.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. I'm glad even I know how to read through this and refix it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just rambling on about shit. Fucking A. I was allowed to wander about freely, and then one day, when all the blacks had gone off upon some expedition, leaving only an old man to guard me, I managed to escape from him and plunged into the forest, running faster than the more he cried to me to come back, until I had completely distanced him.
I like that the old man's just yelling at him to come back. Hey, you're good. Come back. No. Stop.
Sinbad continues to say. For 7 days I hurried on, resting only when the darkness stopped me, and living chiefly upon coconuts, which afforded me both meat and drink. And on the 8th day I reached the seashore and saw a party of white men gathering pepper.
Saw a bunch of crackers out there gathering pepper.
Which grew abundantly all about. Reassured by the nature of their occupation, I advanced towards them, and they greeted me in Arabic, asking who I was and whence I came. My delight was great on hearing this familiar speech, and I was willingly satisfied their curiosity, telling them how I had been shipwrecked and captured by the blacks.
That's fear-mongering, dude.
The pepper farmers cried.
But those savages devour men. How did you escape?
Sinbad continues. I repeated to them what I had just told you, at which they had mightily astonished. I stayed with them until they had collected as much peppers as they wished, and then they took me back to their own country and presented me to their king, by whom I was hospitably. Thank you.
Hospitably.
Received. Thank you. I'm like, wow. I'm having a fake? Okay.
Hospitably.
To him also, I had to relate my adventures, which surprised him much when I had finished. When I had finished, he ordered that I should be supplied with food and raiment and treated with consideration.
And will treat you with consideration. Enjoy my hospitability.
Well, I'm sure if they said that to everybody, they would do like whatever the fuck they wanted. Like, watch what you're doing. You're welcome here, but...
You're welcome here, but we're watching you. We're always watching.
The island on which I had found myself was full of people and abundant in all sorts of desirable things. A great deal of traffic went on in the capital.
He's still just trying to get some strange.
Where I soon began to feel at home and content. Moreover, the king treated me with a special favor, and in consequence of this, everyone, whether at the court or in the town, sought to make life pleasant for me. One thing I remarked, which I thought very strange, was this. From the greatest to the least, all men rode their horses without bridle or stirrups. I one day presumed to ask his majesty why he did not use them, to which he replied,
You speak of things I have never heard of before. What the fuck are you talking about, kid?
Sinbad continues, This gave me an idea. I found a clever workman and made him cut out under my direction the foundation of a saddle, which I weighted, and covered with choice leather, adorning it with rich gold embroidery. I then got the locksmith to make me a bit and a pair of spurs after a pattern that I drew out for him. And with all these things were completed, I presented them to the king to show him how to use them. When I had saddled one of his horses, he mounted it and rode it with quite delight and with the novelty. And to show his gratitude, he rewarded me with large gifts. After this, I had to make saddles for all the principal officers of the king's household, and as they gave me their rich presents, I soon became very wealthy and quite an important person in the city. One day,
He just falls into that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, I'm wealthy, and I got all the strange I ever wanted.
One day, the king sent for me and said,
Sinbad, I have a favor to ask you. Both I and my subjects hold you in the highest of esteem, and we wish for you to end your days among us. Therefore, I desire that you will marry a rich and beautiful woman who I will find for you, and think no more of your country. You'll never go home again.
You sound like a Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. It's pretty dope. Sinbad continues. As the king's will was law, I accepted the charming bride he presented to me and lived happily with her. Nevertheless, I had every intention of escaping at the first opportunity and going back to Baghdad. Honey, I'm going out for a pack of cigarettes. I'll be right back.
I just gotta grab a thing from the
I'm
corner
gonna leave
store
you with
real
like
quick.
9 kids. Good luck.
Good luck with this.
I just need a pack of smokes and a bottle of whiskey.
The king is creeping me out.
Things were thus going prosperously. Thank you, sorry.
Prosperatively.
With me. When it happened that the wife of one of my neighbors, with whom I had struck up quite a friendship, fell ill and died. I went to his house to offer my consolation. Yeah, consolations.
Consolations!
And found him in the depths of woe. I said to him, Heaven preserve you, and send you a long life. He replied,
Alas, what is the good of saying that when I have but an hour left to live?
Sinbad said, Come, surely it is not so as bad as that. I trust that you may be spared for many years. He answered,
I hope that your life may be long, but as for me, all is finished. I have set my house in order, and today I shall be buried with my wife. This has been the law upon our island from the earliest ages. The living husband goes to the grave with his dead wife, the living wife with her dead husband. So did our fathers, and so must we do. The law changes not, and all must submit to it.
Sinbad continued. As he spoke, the friends and the relations of the unhappy pair began to assemble. The body, decked with rich robes and sparkling with jewels, was laid upon an open bier, and the procession started, taking its way to a high mountain at some distance from the city. The wretched husband, clothed from head to foot in black mantle, following mournfully. When the place of intentment was reached, interment.
Internment.
Wow, I'm having a moment. Sorry. The corpse was lowered, just as it was, into the deep pit.
Lower the corpse.
Then the husband, bidding farewell to his friends, stretched himself upon another bier, upon which were laid 7 little loaves of bread and a pitcher of water. And he also was let down,
See ya.
to the depths of the horrible cavern.
Bye.
And then a stone was laid over the opening, and the melancholy company wended its way back into the city. You may imagine that I was not unmoved about the specter of these proceedings. To all of the others, it was a thing to which they had been accustomed to from their youth up.
It's normal. He'll live down there for like a week on the bread and water, but after that,
But I was so horrified that I could not help telling the king how it struck me. I said to him, "Sire, I am more astonished than I can express to you at the strange custom which exists in your dominions of burying the living with the dead. In all my travels, I have never met with so cruel and horrible a law." The king replied,
What would you have, Sinbad? It is the law for everyone. I myself should be buried with the queen if she was to die first. But she won't because she's immortal.
Sinbad said, "But your majesty, I dare ask if this law applies to foreigners also." The king smiles at what could but consider a very heartless manner and says,
Oh, why, yes, there are no exceptions to the rule. If they have married in the country, they will be buried in the country.
Sinbad continues, "When I heard this, I went home. Much cast down from all this time forward, my mind was never easy. If my wife's little finger ached, I fancied she was going to die."
Had my go bag ready.
And sure enough, before very long she fell very ill, and in a few days breathed her last. My dismay was great, for it seemed to me that to be buried alive was even worse a fate than to be devoured by cannibals. Nevertheless, there was no escape. The body of my wife, arrayed in the richest robes and decked with all of her jewels, was laid upon the bier. I followed it, and after me came the great procession.
It sounds like it's a big tomb.
Yeah.
What if the last people who got buried, what if there are two deaths near each other? And
No, it's
just
all in
two
one
people
area.
sitting there watching each other yeah, this is awkward. I thought it was going to be
I'm pretty
alone.
sure it's all in one area. I think. I don't remember. It's been a minute since I read this. Sorry. I followed it, and after me came a great procession. I headed by the king and all of his nobles, and in order we reached the fatal mountain, which was the one of a lofty chain bordering the sea. Here I made for one more frantic effort to excite the pity of the king and those who stood by, hoping to save myself even at this last moment, but it was to no avail. No one spoke to me. They even appeared to hasten over their dreadful task, and I speedily...
We were separated, guys. Come on.
I speedily found myself descending into a glooming pit, with my 7 loaves and a pitcher of water beside me. Almost before I reached the bottom, the stone was rolled into its place above my head, and I was left to my fate. A feeble ray of light came from the stone into the cavern through some chink. Now, when I had the courage to look about me, I could see that I was in a vast vault, bestrewn with bones and bodies of the dead.
Yep, so it is all in one place.
I even fancied that I heard the expiring sighs of those who, like myself, had come to this dismay place alive. All in vain did I shriek aloud with the rage and despair reproaching myself for the love of gain and adventure which had brought me to such a pass.
Well, I guess I'm going to live out the rest of my days as a zombie.
Right. But at length, growing calmer, I took upon my bread and water, and wrapping my face in my mantle, I groped my way towards the end of the cavern, where the air was fresher.
Stop touching the wall like that, Sinbad. Oh, yeah.
Here I lived in darkness and misery until my provisions were exhausted. But just as I was about nearly dead from starvation, the rock was rolled away over her head, and I saw that a briar was being lowered into the cavern, and that the corpse upon it was a man. In the moment my mind was made up. The woman who followed had nothing to expect but a lingering death. I should be doing her a service if I shortened her misery. Therefore,
he's gonna kill her and eat her.
Therefore, when she descended, already insensible from terror, I was ready, armed with a huge bone.
Jesus, dude. Going full zombie cannibal.
One blow from which left her dead.
Oh,
And I
God.
secured the bread and water, which gave me a hope of life. Several times did I have recourse of this desperate indictment.
Jesus. Yeah, so the hero of our story just confessed to being a serial killer.
To survive.
By the seventh
By a
time, I didn't even
tradition
need
he
the bread.
doesn't even want to be a part of.
By the seventh time, I didn't even need the bread. This time, I was just killing for fun.
Skin stiff. Sorry.
That's what she said.
Several times I did this, and I know not how long I had been a prisoner, when one day I fancied that I heard something near me which breathed loudly. Turning to the place from which the sound came, I dimly saw a shadowy form which fled at my movement, squeezing itself through a cranny in the wall. I pursued it as fast as I could and found myself in a narrow crack amongst the rocks, along with which I was just able to force my way. I forced it for what seemed like many miles, when at last saw before me the glimmering light of which grew clearer every moment until I emerged upon the seashore.
You sick son of a bitch. There was a crevice the whole time.
I know, he'd never saw it before. With fairness, it's pitch black.
I know.
With
But he was
fairness.
groping, so if he's being a creeper and
yeah.
he's groping around the wall, he should have found the crevice.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is true. I followed it from you. You always make me lose my thought.
I do.
You stopped me in the middle of my shit. Or whatever. I realized that it was doubtless some little animal which had found its way into the cavern from the sea, and when disturbed had fled, showing me the means of escape and which could never have discovered for myself. So I hastily surveyed my surroundings.
That's a real can't-do attitude.
And saw that I was safe from all pursuit from this town. The mountain slopes steer down to the sea, and there was no road across them. Being assured of this, I returned to the cavern and amassed a rich treasure of diamonds, rubies, emeralds, and jewels of all kinds, which strewed the ground. These I made up into bales and stored them into a safe place upon the beach, and then I waited hopefully for a passing of a ship. I looked out for 2 days, however, before a single sail appeared, and it was with much delight that I saw a vessel not very far from the shore, and by waving my arms and uttering loud cries, succeeded in attracting the attention of her crew. A boat was sent out to me, and in answer to the questions of the sailors of how I came to be in such a plight, I replied that I had been shipwrecked 2 days before, but I had managed to scramble ashore with the bales in which I pointed out to them. Luckily for me, they believed my story, and without even looking at the place where they found me, took up my bundles and rowed me back to their ship.
What about that city over there? You don't want to go over there.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
that place.
You know what's funny too is he instantly goes for animal. Like it must have been an animal getting in. Like I bet it was someone who knew the last person that went down in the hole. And they had the whole plan. They're like, I know the crevice, I'm gonna come rescue you. They just come in and see him murder him, like, oh my god, run.
Once on board, I soon saw that the captain was too much occupied with the difficulties of navigation to pay much heed to me, though he generously made me welcome, and would not even accept the jewels in which I offered to pay for my passage. Our voyage was prosperous, and after visiting many lands and collecting in each place a great store of goodly merchandise, I found myself at last in Baghdad once more with the mountain of riches of every description. Again, I gave large sums of money to the poor and enriched all the mosques of the city. After which I gave myself up to my friends and relations with whom I passed my time in feasting and merriment.
He's trying to buy back some good karma after fucking... I donated a lot to the mosques, spent a lot of time talking about all the people I killed.
Yeah. You wanted to explain it all, you know what I mean? Here's how it went down, y'all. Don't go here.
Don't go there.
Sinbad paused, and all his hearers declared that the adventures of his fourth voyage had pleased them better than anything that they had heard before. Those savages.
I'm so pleased.
Then they took their leave, followed by Hindbad, who had once more received 100 sequins, and with the rest that he had been bidden to return the next day for the story of the fifth voyage. When the time came, and all were in their places, and when all had eaten and drank... Oh, I guess that's part of voyage. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's part of voyage 5. Sorry. Love you guys.
It's a good thing Sinbad's not like George R.R. Martin.
I know, right? For real.
Come back in like 4, maybe 5 years. I'll have the next voyage ready.
I know, for real. Bitch. I thought you were going to be ready this November.
This November.
Actually,
all the Novembers.
The November 6 years ago.
Yeah, 6 years ago this November.
I thought you were going to release it.
It's coming. The dragons are coming.
And then I thought you were going to release it like right after the Game of Thrones HBO show fucking finished.
Nope.
So that we could know the real story.
Nope. Yeah.
Not this brothers who fucking don't give two shits about fucking their show.
Yeah. Well,
that's won them billions of dollars.
Not to get off on a tangent, but yeah, what the fuck, George.
I love your work, buddy. Keep up the good job.
Yeah. On that note, we'll go ahead and move on to Voyage 5.
In the next episode.
Oh, in the next episode?
In the next episode.
In the next episode, join us for Voyage 5 of Sinbad the Sailor.
It's been a fantastic Saturday short.
Sinbad the Sailor / racist / serial killer.
Yeah. All right. So, our references today, we have Sir Richard Burton.
Dick Burton.
Of the Arabian Nights, and we have fairytaleswithaz.com.
Fairytales with a Z, like all the cool kids spell it.
It's a good one, actually. They have a lot of shit.
They got a lot of shit.
I'm trying to decipher one of them. It's taking me a minute. I'm pretty much going to have to like sum up a short in summary.
In summary, well, yeah, I hope you folks enjoyed this episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share it with the world. Yeah.
Follow us.
Maybe do a crop circle. High mythology crop circle.
Make sure it's legal though. Because that's some fucked up shit. That's farmers' money.
Yeah. Or do a reverse crop circle where you just put all your weed plants into a shape and spell out high mythology.
Or if you're on private property, you can do a donut.
You could do a donut. Or make a donut, because I like donuts.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Fucking hell. Well, good night, everybody.
Have a good night.